late afternoon sun cast long golden shadows over the bustling streets of Manila as Illara Morgan stepped out of the airport terminal. A slight breeze carried the scent of salt water and tropical flowers, promising adventures yet to come. Illara adjusted the strap of her worn leather backpack and took a deep breath, feeling the familiar thrill that always accompanied a journey into the unknown. Unlike most tourists chasing after crowded city sights, Illara had a secret reason for this trip, an invitation to a remote island called Solara, whispered about among travelers as a place where time slowed, and the world's magic still hummed beneath the surface. She remembered the curious letter she had received only a week ago, sealed with an unfamiliar crest, a sun with a crescent moon nestled within. The letter spoke of a journey of rest and discovery, promising to awaken not just the body, but the soul. As she hailed a taxi, Illara's mind wandered to the stories she'd heard of Solara Island: crystal clear lagoons, ancient caves illuminated by glowing bioluminescent stones, and elders who spoke of the island's hidden guardians. The island wasn't on any official map, but those who'd visited spoke of it as if it were a dream made flesh. The taxi driver, a jovial man named Mateo, greeted her warmly as he helped with her bags. "You're lucky, Miss Morgan," he said, smiling through the sweat on his brow. "Solara only opens its arms to those who truly seek peace. You won't find many tourists there." Illara smiled back, feeling the weight of expectation mix with excitement. "That's exactly what I need right now." They drove through narrow roads flanked by lush greenery, the city slowly giving way to palm trees and fields of wildflowers. After a couple of hours, Mateo pulled up to a small harbor where a traditional wooden banka boat awaited. The boat's hull gleamed under the sun, painted in vibrant blues and oranges, with hand-carved motifs of waves and stars. The captain, a tall woman named Amara, greeted Illara with a nod and a steady, reassuring gaze. "Welcome to the journey's first step," Amara said, her voice calm like the ocean breeze. "We'll cross the turquoise waters to Solara Island. Are you ready for a trip unlike any other?" Illara nodded, stepping aboard carefully. As the boat pushed off, the city's noise faded into the distance, replaced by the rhythmic splash of waves and the call of distant seabirds. The sky stretched wide above them, painted with streaks of coral and lavender as the sun began its slow descent. Illara felt a strange calm wash over her, as if the island itself was calling her home. As they sailed, Amara shared stories passed down through generations, tales of ancient spirits who guarded the island's forests, legends of caves that glowed with stars when the moon was full, and a promise that every traveler who came here found something they'd lost within themselves. Illara listened intently, mesmerized. But beneath the serenity, there was an undercurrent of mystery, something waiting just beyond the horizon. Just as twilight embraced the sea, the boat rounded a curve, revealing Solara Island in all its breathtaking beauty. White sands stretched endlessly, fringed by lush jungle, and a towering mountain rose like a sleeping giant in the distance. Illara's heart quickened. This was more than a vacation. It was a passage into a world that might change her forever. She stepped off the boat, her feet sinking into the warm sand, and looked back once more at the fading lights of the mainland. Then, with the night stars beginning to twinkle overhead, she turned towards the island's heart, ready to begin her adventure. The night air on Solara Island was thick with the scent of damp earth and blooming jasmine. Illyra pulled her lightweight jacket tighter around her as she followed Amara through a narrow jungle path illuminated only by the faint glow of fireflies. The canopy above whispered with rustling leaves, and every shadow seemed to hide a secret. So, Amara began softly, few who come here realize that Solara is alive not just with nature, but with memories. Illyra's curiosity piqued. Memories. Yes, Amara said, glancing back with a mysterious smile. The island remembers. The forests, the caves, even the stones, they hold stories of those who have walked here before. Some say the island can reveal your deepest truths if you're willing to listen. They reached a clearing where a small wooden lodge stood, its windows glowing warmly. Inside, the air was scented with sandalwood and the faint hum of a distant flute filled the space. Illyra's eyes adjusted to the soft lamplight as she spotted a handful of other travelers seated around a large table. Each face was different, some weathered by time, others bright with youthful wonder, but all shared the same quiet awe. An older man with silver hair approached Illyra, extending a hand. "I'm Tobias," he said kindly. "You must be the newcomer. We're all here to find something, aren't we?" Illyra nodded, shaking his hand. "I suppose so. I don't quite know what yet." Tobias chuckled softly. "That's the journey. Sometimes you come looking for rest, but what you find is revelation." As the evening wore on, Amara guided the group through a ritual she called the awakening of the senses. Blindfolded, Illyra was led outside, where the ocean breeze kissed her face and the symphony of nocturnal life enveloped her. Her hands brushed against soft leaves, cool stones, and warm wood. She breathed deeply, each inhale pulling her closer to something unseen, but deeply felt a pulse beneath the surface, steady and inviting. When the blindfold came off, she saw the stars had multiplied, reflected perfectly in the still lagoon nearby. A sense of calm determination settled in her chest. This island was more than a place to sleep, it was a place to awaken. Later that night, as Illyra lay on a woven mat beneath the open sky, the gentle lapping of waves was interrupted by a sudden splash nearby. She sat up, peering into the darkness. A figure emerged from the shadows, a woman, tall and graceful, with eyes that shimmered like moonlight on water. "Welcome, Illyra Morgan," the woman said, voice soft but sure. "I am Lyra, keeper of the island's secrets. You have much to learn, but first, you must listen." Illyra's heart raced. Was this part of the island's memory, or something else entirely? Lyra smiled. "Come with me. The island has been waiting for you." As they moved deeper into the jungle, the trees parted to reveal a hidden entrance to a cave, glowing faintly with ethereal light. Inside, Lyra whispered, lies the heart of Solara. The journey you seek begins here. Illyra stepped forward, ready to uncover the mysteries that would change everything she thought she knew about the island, and herself. The cave's entrance breathed a cool, fragrant mist that kissed Illyra's skin as she followed Lyra into the unknown. Soft bioluminescent stones studded the cavern walls, casting a gentle glow that danced like liquid stars across ancient carvings. Lyra's voice echoed softly in the cavern. "This place is alive with stories, Illyra. Every mark, every shimmer is a memory, a piece of the island's soul." Illyra reached out, tracing her fingers over the smooth carvings that depicted scenes of the island's past, towering trees, celestial beings, and figures cloaked in radiant light. Suddenly, the cavern floor beneath them pulsed gently, as if responding to her touch. "You feel that?" Lyra whispered. "It's the island's heartbeat." Deeper inside, the cave opened into a vast chamber where a crystalline pool mirrored the swirling cosmos above. Floating just above the water was a delicate orb, shimmering with hues of gold and sapphire. "This is the Solara sphere," Lyra explained. "It holds the essence of the island's magic, a living memory of every visitor's dreams and fears." Illyra approached cautiously, mesmerized. As she neared, images flickered within the orb, faces she had known, places she had longed to see, moments of joy and sorrow. Her own reflection appeared, but suddenly morphed into visions of her past, a childhood marked by loss, moments of courage, and the unanswered questions that had driven her here. Lyra stepped beside her. "The sphere reveals what lies within. It asks, what are you willing to face?" Illyra's breath hitched. "I want to understand, to heal." The orb shimmered brighter, enveloping her in warmth. A voice, soft, ancient, whispered through the cavern, "To heal, you must first see." Suddenly, the cavern dissolved into a swirling mist, transporting Illyra to memories she'd buried deep. She stood in a sunlit meadow, watching her younger self laugh and run, free from pain. But shadows crept along the edges, doubts, fears, and regrets. Only by embracing both light and shadow, the voice intoned, can you find your true path. The vision faded, and Illyra found herself back beside the pool, heart pounding but eyes clearer. Lyra smiled gently. This is your journey, Illyra. Solara is not just a place, it is a mirror. What you discover here will shape the rest of your life. Outside, the first light of dawn filtered into the cave, promising a new beginning. Illyra knew one thing for certain, she was ready to face whatever came next. Illyra woke to the soft hum of morning birdsong filtering through the woven bamboo walls of the lodge. The scent of freshly brewed herbal tea beckoned her outside, where the golden sun painted the island in hues of amber and jade. As she stepped onto the veranda, Amara was waiting, a knowing smile playing on her lips. Today, Amara said, you will visit the Forgotten Grove, a sacred place said to hold the island's oldest secrets. Few outsiders ever enter, but your journey calls you there. Illyra felt a thrill course through her veins. She had thought her discovery inside the cavern was profound, but the island was clearly far from finished revealing itself. The path to the grove wound deeper into the jungle, twisting beneath towering banyan trees whose roots seemed to whisper ancient chants. Along the way, Illyra noticed unusual markings etched onto tree trunks, symbols she had never seen before, glowing faintly with a silvery light. "Those are the markings of the elder tree guardians," Amara explained. "They protect the sacred places from those who come with ill intent." As they progressed, a sudden rustle caused Illyra to freeze. A pair of luminous eyes blinked from the underbrush. Before she could react, a small creature bounded forward, a fox-like animal with shimmering fur and a tail that flickered like candlelight. Illyra crouched to meet it, and it didn't shy away. Instead, it circled her feet playfully before darting off into the shadows. "That's Nim," Amara said softly. "The spirit guide of the grove. If Nim trusts you, it means the island accepts you." With Nim leading the way, they reached a clearing where an ancient tree stood, its massive trunk twisted and crowned with glowing blossoms that pulsed gently like a heartbeat. Illyra approached reverently, reaching out to touch the bark. The moment her fingers met the wood, visions flooded her mind of long-forgotten rituals, island ancestors communing with nature, and a prophecy inscribed in stars. Suddenly, the ground trembled slightly, and the grove seemed to awaken. From behind the tree, an ethereal figure materialized, a woman draped in flowing robes woven from leaves and starlight. Her eyes were deep pools of wisdom. "I am Malia, keeper of the grove," she said, her voice echoing like a melody. "You have been chosen to carry the island's memory forward. But first, you must prove your heart is true." Illyra swallowed hard. "What must I do?" Malia smiled enigmatically. "Follow Nim. Face the trial of the spirits. Only then will the island's secrets be fully revealed." As Nim darted into the jungle's shadows, Illyra felt the weight of destiny settle on her shoulders. The path ahead was uncertain and fraught with challenge, but she knew she couldn't turn back now. Illyra's heart hammered as she followed Nim deeper into the jungle, the fading daylight casting long shadows through the dense foliage. The air grew cooler, tinged with a faint, sweet fragrance like jasmine mixed with something ancient and wild. Ahead, the path split into 3 shimmering trails, each glowing faintly in a different color: emerald green, sapphire blue, and fiery amber. Malia's words echoed in her mind: "Choose wisely, for each path tests a different part of your soul." Nim darted toward the emerald path first, then paused, turning back as if urging Illyra to decide. Taking a deep breath, Illyra stepped onto the emerald trail, feeling the ground pulse softly beneath her feet. The trees around her seemed to close in, whispering in voices that felt like echoes of the past. Suddenly, a mist swirled around her, and she found herself standing before a shimmering lake, its surface perfectly still like a mirror reflecting not just her image, but fragments of memories she hadn't recalled in years. A soft voice emerged from the water, gentle yet probing: "What do you seek, traveler?" Illyra's eyes filled with tears as the lake showed visions of her childhood, moments of love, loss, and a haunting secret she'd buried deep: the disappearance of her younger brother, a mystery that had never been solved. "I seek answers, and peace," she whispered. The water rippled, and from its depths rose a glowing figure, a boy, his eyes filled with warmth and forgiveness. You carry the weight of blame, but it was never yours to bear, the apparition said. To heal, you must release the past. Illyra nodded, feeling a burden lift from her chest. The lake shimmered once more, then vanished, leaving her alone on the path again. Nem waited patiently, tail flicking, as she moved forward. Next, the sapphire trail led her into a cavern filled with crystalline formations that sang softly with the wind. Here, Illyra faced visions of fear and doubt, shadows that twisted and snarled, trying to pull her into darkness. Summoning courage she didn't know she had, Illyra stood firm, reciting words she had learned from Amara about embracing one's shadow self. Slowly, the shadows dissolved into sparkling light, and the cavern hummed with newfound harmony. Finally, the amber path brought her to a fiery grove where ancient flames danced without burning. Here, Illyra confronted her own desires and ambitions, the hunger for purpose and belonging that had driven her all her life. A blazing phoenix appeared, its eyes fierce but kind. True strength comes from knowing when to soar and when to rest, the phoenix intoned. Your journey is just beginning. As the flames flickered, Illyra felt herself transformed, stronger, clearer, ready. Emerging from the trial, she found Malia waiting, a proud smile on her face. You have passed, Malia said. The island accepts you as its guardian. Suddenly, the earth trembled beneath their feet, a warning, or a call to greater adventure. Illyra's eyes shone with determination. I'm ready for whatever comes next. The moment Malia declared Illyra the island's guardian, the ground beneath them groaned ominously. The ancient trees around the grove shuddered, their leaves twisting into strange, swirling patterns. Illyra, Malia's voice dropped to a whisper, Solara's peace is fragile. A darkness long buried has begun to stir beneath the roots of the island. Illyra's heart skipped. What kind of darkness? Before Malia could answer, the glowing orb from the cavern pulsed violently, casting eerie shadows that flickered like ghostly figures dancing at the edge of her vision. Suddenly, a chilling wind swept through the grove, carrying a whisper barely audible but unmistakably a warning. Beware the Veil Walker. Illyra shivered. She had heard nothing of this name before. Amara stepped forward, her eyes grim. The Veil Walker is a forgotten spirit, bound in shadow, hungry for the island's life force. If it awakens fully, it could consume everything including you. Nem growled low, baring his luminous teeth. Malia placed a hand gently on Illyra's shoulder. You must seek the 3 lost relics of Solara: the Heartstone, the Moonflower, and the Sky Feather. Each holds the power to strengthen the island's defenses. Illyra nodded, determination blazing in her eyes. Where do I start? Malia pointed toward the mountain's summit, where a swirling vortex of mist concealed an ancient temple. The Heartstone lies within the Temple of Echoes. But beware, the temple tests not only your strength, but your very spirit. As Illyra prepared to depart, a sudden rustle from the jungle edge caught her attention. From the shadows emerged a stranger cloaked in tattered robes, eyes glowing faintly with an unnatural light. "Guardian," the stranger hissed, voice like dry leaves, "the Veil Walker knows you have awoken. It sends its servants shadows that slip between worlds. You must be vigilant." Illyra's pulse quickened. "Who are you?" The figure extended a skeletal hand, revealing a small pendant pulsing with dark energy. "I am Kalen, last of the Shadow Binders. I come to offer aid, but trust is a fragile thing in Solara." Before she could respond, Kalen vanished into the night, leaving behind only a whisper and a chill that lingered in the air. Alone, Illyra looked up at the swirling mists of the mountain. The adventure had deepened, no longer just a journey of self-discovery, but a battle for the very soul of Solara. With Nim at her side and the blessing of the island, she took her first step toward the temple, ready to face shadows, secrets, and her destiny. The path to the mountain's summit was steep and winding, cloaked in dense mist that seemed alive, whispering secrets and memories from long ago. Illyra, with Nim trotting faithfully beside her, climbed steadily, every step drawing her closer to the heart of Solara's mystery. As she approached the entrance to the Temple of Echoes, the massive stone doors stood ajar, carved with ancient symbols that shimmered faintly in the morning light. An eerie silence hung in the air, broken only by the soft echoes of distant chanting. Taking a deep breath, Illyra stepped inside. The temple's interior was vast and labyrinthine. The walls were lined with intricate murals depicting the island's history, battles between light and shadow, guardians and invaders, and a prophecy of a chosen protector who would come to bind the island's fate. Suddenly, the ground trembled, and from the shadows emerged a figure clad in silver armor that shimmered like the moon, a spectral guardian. "I am Syrian, keeper of the temple," he intoned, voice echoing like 1,000 whispers. "To claim the Heartstone, you must face your deepest fears and prove your spirit's resilience." Before Illyra could react, the temple around her began to shift, walls dissolving into mist, floors turning into swirling vortexes of shadow and light. Her surroundings morphed into a dark forest where shadows twisted into terrifying shapes. Phantom voices called her name, sowing doubt and fear. Illyra's heart raced, but she steadied her breath, remembering Malia's lessons that embracing fear was part of the path to strength. Closing her eyes, she reached out with her mind, anchoring herself to the warmth of Nim's presence. Slowly, the shadows retreated, replaced by radiant light that bathed the forest in golden hues. When Illyra opened her eyes, she stood before a pedestal where the Heartstone pulsed softly, a radiant gem glowing with the island's purest energy. As she reached for it, a voice whispered behind her, "Well done, Guardian." Turning, Illyra found Kalen stepping from the shadows, his eyes no longer cold but filled with something like hope. "The Heartstone is yours," he said, "but the trial is far from over. The Veil Walker's reach extends further than you know." Illyra nodded, clutching the gem. "Then we must move quickly." Kalen gestured to a narrow passage leading deeper into the mountain. "Follow me. The Moonflower awaits in the Grove of Whispers, but beware, the shadows have agents there." Together, they plunged deeper into the temple's mysteries, ready to face whatever dangers lay ahead. The air grew cooler as Illyra and Kalin emerged from the shadows of the temple into a twilight forest known as the Grove of Whispers. The trees here were ancient, their gnarled branches twisted together like clasped hands, and a faint, continuous murmur seemed to flow through the leaves. Illyra, Kalin warned quietly, this place is alive with secrets. The moonflower doesn't just bloom here, it guards the boundary between light and shadow. The Veil Walker's agents hide among these trees, disguised as whispers and shadows. Nem's fur bristled as the soft murmur turned into indistinct voices that seemed to ebb and flow like a haunting melody. Illyra felt a chill run down her spine. As they ventured deeper, the whispers grew louder, some almost forming words teasing, threatening, coaxing. Suddenly, the shadows between the trees coalesced into dark figures, ethereal yet menacing. They lunged at Illyra and Kalin, their forms flickering and shifting. Kalin drew a slender blade glowing with pale blue light. These are the Whisper Shade spirits bound to the Veil Walker's wool. We must fight or be consumed. Illyra summoned the courage she had cultivated during the trial of the spirits and met the first shade with a burst of radiant energy from the Heartstone. The gem pulsed fiercely in her palm, sending ripples of light that dissolved the attackers into mist. The battle raged through the grove, shadows clashing against bursts of light. Nem darted between foes, his luminous tail a streak of brilliance. Amid the chaos, Illyra caught sight of a glowing flower at the center of the grove, the moonflower, its petals shimmering like liquid silver under the moonlight. But the flower was surrounded by a vortex of shadows, swirling faster and faster, threatening to swallow it whole. We have to reach it, Illyra shouted to Kalin. They pushed forward, cutting through the last of the Whisper Shades. Just as Illyra reached the flower, a massive shadow beast erupted from the vortex, its form dark and shifting, eyes burning with hunger. The Veil Walker's lieutenant. Illyra raised the Heartstone, its light blazing, but the beast was quick, lunging with terrifying speed. Kalin leapt, his blade slicing through the beast's form, buying Illyra precious seconds. With a deep breath, Illyra focused all her will into the Heartstone, releasing a wave of pure light that engulfed the beast, causing it to scream and dissolve into nothingness. Exhausted but victorious, Illyra plucked the moonflower carefully, its petals cool and pulsating with energy. Kalin smiled for the first time in days. One step closer. But as they turned to leave, the whispers returned louder, angrier. The Veil Walker's full awakening was imminent. Illyra knew this was only the beginning of a battle that would test everything she had. Leaving the Grove of Whispers behind, Illyra and Kalin ascended higher toward the island's summit, where the air thinned and the sky opened into a vast dome of twinkling stars. The wind carried a chill that whispered promises of revelations yet to come. Kalin's gaze was fixed upward. The final relic, the sky feather, rests at the peak of winds. It is said to be the gift of the celestial guardians, those who watch over Solara from beyond the stars. Illyra tightened her cloak around her shoulders as the path narrowed, flanked by jagged rocks carved by centuries of storms. Suddenly, a strange feeling washed over her, a sensation that she was not alone. From the swirling mist appeared a figure clad in robes that shimmered like starlight. Her eyes gleamed with a fierce intelligence and a hint of mischief. "I am Seraphine, keeper of the celestial gate," she announced. "To claim the sky feather, you must prove your worth not only with courage, but with wisdom and heart." Before Illyra could reply, the ground trembled. From the clouds above, shadowy wings unfurled, the Veil Walker's final emissaries, dark avian creatures with eyes like burning coals. The battle erupted amid the jagged cliffs and swirling winds. Illyra called upon the power of the Heartstone and the Moonflower, their energies weaving together in a brilliant shield that protected them from the fierce talons and beaks. Calin fought fiercely alongside her, his blade flashing in the moonlight as Nim darted between shadows, distracting the attackers. As the last creature fell, Seraphine stepped forward, holding aloft a radiant feather glowing with ethereal light. "The sky feather," she said, "is yours, but with it comes a responsibility to unite the powers you have gathered and confront the Veil Walker before it consumes Solara." Illyra took the feather reverently, feeling its warmth spread through her fingers and into her very soul. Suddenly, a piercing scream split the night. The Veil Walker itself had sensed the gathering strength of its enemies and was moving to awaken fully. "We must hurry," Seraphine urged. "The final battle approaches." Together, they turned toward the looming darkness spreading over the island below, ready to face the shadow that threatened to engulf all they held dear. The island of Solara lay under a heavy shroud as Illyra, Calin, and Seraphine raced down from the summit toward the heart of the island. The wind howled like a living beast, twisting leaves and branches into chaotic spirals. The air was thick with tension as if the very island was holding its breath. "The Veil Walker's awakening is imminent," Seraphine warned, her eyes scanning the darkening sky. "If we don't unite the relic's power soon, the shadows will consume everything." Illyra's fingers tightened around the sky feather, its ethereal glow casting fleeting patterns on her determined face. "We need allies." Calin nodded. "There's one place left to visit, the village of Lumara. The elders there are keepers of ancient wisdom and powerful magic. They can help us prepare." As they approached Lumara, the village welcomed them with wary eyes and quiet whispers. The villagers, draped in robes embroidered with starlight motifs, gathered around the trio. An elder woman, Mela, stepped forward, her gaze piercing yet warm. "You carry the relics," Mela said slowly, "and the weight of Solara's fate. But the Veil Walker is cunning. It has planted seeds of doubt and fear among us. Unity will be our strongest defense." That night, under the canopy of stars, the village elders and the guardians convened. Plans were made, spells woven, and a sacred bond formed between the relics and the people. But even as hope kindled, Illyra felt an unsettling presence watching from the shadows, an enemy that had infiltrated their midst. In a sudden twist, a trusted villager was revealed to be a Veil Walker's agent, attempting to sabotage their preparations. A tense confrontation erupted, with Illyra's quick thinking and the combined power of the relics thwarting the betrayal. The battle left scars but strengthened their resolve. Illyra realized that defeating the Veil Walker would not be just a test of power, but a battle of trust, hope, and sacrifice. As dawn broke, the sky roared with thunder. The final battle was near and Illyra was ready to stand as Solara's true guardian. The first rays of dawn barely pierced the heavy clouds as Illyra stood atop the sacred hill overlooking Lumara village. Her heart pounded the calm before the storm was suffocating. From the depths of the shadowed forest, a chilling roar erupted, echoing through the valleys like a death knell. The Veil Walker had awoken. Darkness spilled from the forest floor, twisting and writhing like living smoke, coalescing into a towering figure cloaked in tattered shadows. Its eyes burned with ancient hatred. Illyra raised the Heartstone, Moonflower, and Skyfeather, their combined glow casting a radiant light that pushed back the encroaching darkness. "Stand firm," she called to the gathered villagers and guardians. "Our strength lies in unity." Kaelin and Seraphim took their positions alongside her, ready to unleash the magic woven through the relics. The battle was fierce. Shadow tendrils lashed out, trying to engulf the light, while the Veil Walker's voice thundered, promising despair and oblivion. Illyra focused on the relics, chanting the ancient words Mela had taught her. The relics pulsed in response, weaving a protective barrier around the village. Nim leapt into the fray, his luminous tail slicing through shadows, while Kaelin's blade sang with light. But the Veil Walker was cunning. It shifted forms, striking from unexpected angles, exploiting fears and doubts within the defenders. At a critical moment, Illyra's resolve faltered as visions of loss and failure clouded her mind. The Veil Walker seized the opportunity, driving its shadows closer. "Remember who you are." Seraphim's voice pierced the chaos, grounding Illyra. Drawing strength from her allies and the island's magic, Illyra unleashed a burst of pure light from the relics, striking the Veil Walker's core. With a final roar, the dark giant shattered, dissolving into a cascade of shimmering fragments. Silence fell. The villagers cheered, tears mingling with smiles. Exhausted but triumphant, Illyra knew the island was safe for now. But the adventure had changed her forever. The true guardian of Solara had emerged. The first light of dawn spilled over the horizon, casting a gentle glow across the island of Solara. The battle was won, but the echoes of the Veil Walker's shadow still lingered like a fading nightmare. Illyra stood at the edge of the sacred hill, her eyes tracing the horizon where sky met sea. Around her, the villagers of Lumara bustled with renewed life, rebuilding, celebrating, and honoring the magic that had saved them all. Kaelin approached quietly, his expression softened by relief. "You did it, Illyra. You've united the island and its people." She smiled, feeling the weight of the relics still warm in her hands. "We did it. Together." Seraphim appeared, radiant and serene. "But this is just the beginning. Solara's magic will need guardians for generations to come." The breeze carried whispers of ancient songs, melodies of the island's past and promises of the future. Illyra breathed deeply, embracing the calm after the storm. A figure emerged from the crowd, Nim, the luminous fox spirit, now glowing brighter than ever. He nuzzled against her leg, a silent reminder of the bond they shared. As the sun climbed higher, Illyra raised the relics high. The heartstone pulsed with vibrant life, the moonflower's petals shimmered like silver light, and the sky feather glowed with celestial brilliance. A radiant aura enveloped the island, weaving through every tree, every stone, and every soul. It was a new dawn not only for Solara but for Illyra herself. She had come seeking peace, and instead found purpose. With friends beside her and the island's magic coursing through her veins, Illyra knew she was ready to face whatever future awaited. For Solara was no longer just a place on a map. It was home. And she was its true guardian. Title: Solara, Guardian of the Island, a Journey Beyond Shadows. Description: Join Illyra Morgan on an unforgettable journey to the mystical island of Solara, where ancient magic and hidden secrets awaken. As the island's guardian, Illyra must face her deepest fears, unite powerful relics, and rally the villagers against the dark force known as the Veil Walker. Filled with breathtaking landscapes, enchanting spirits, and thrilling battles between light and shadow, Solara, Guardian of the Island, is a tale of courage, trust, and the true meaning of home. Dive into a world where destiny and magic intertwine and discover the power within.